Once you've confirmed you have all the parts for your AgXRP Beta, it is time to assemble it. Before starting, grab all the 3D printed parts and make sure all the support material has been removed from them. Also, grab the snap bolts and separate them by twisting apart, and do the same thing for the hex clips. Note that if you don't support right at the connection point, these can bend out of shape, so just make sure you're grabbing them securely. Everything attaches to the stand, so we will assemble that first. Here's all the pieces needed to assemble the stand. Note that the rails have hexagonal holes in each end for snap bolts, and they're elongated on one side. Ensure that all of the elongated holes are on the front side facing you. Each rail has a slot in the end for a connecting piece to go into. Ensure the piece is fully inserted. The hexagonal holes should line up with each other. Then you can take one of the snap bolts and put it through the elongated side, and it should poke out the back. Then take a hex clip and snap it over the end. Do this for the remaining top rails. The T-corner pieces have an additional arm for extending the rails further or to assemble the frame in other configurations. But for now, we will ignore the extra arm and connect the rails to the corner pieces like before. Then we can attach the foot pieces, which go on just like the other connecting pieces. And that is the frame assembled. Now we can work on the controller board. I recommend first doing a quick power test to ensure the board works before doing anything else with it. Make sure the power switch is in the off position, then plug the power supply into the barrel connector and the other end of the supply into an outlet. Then flip the power switch on, and you should see two red LEDs illuminate next to the USB connector. If so, then the board is working and we can turn it off and unplug for the rest of the assembly. Now we'll get the controller board mounted, for which you will need these pieces. First, insert the top corners of the board into these cutouts in the housing. Then push the USB connector into the housing and push towards the top to ensure this retention arm holds down the board properly. Then we'll attach the rail mounts to the housing. Note that there are two different rail mounts labeled A and B, and they need to be paired up with the matching labels on the housing. So we'll start with side A and push on the rail mount until it's flush with the housing, then attach a hex clip to keep it in place. Then do the same with the other side. Now we can attach the control board to the frame. You can clip it on wherever you want, but we'll just go with the normal configuration of right in the middle. Note that the rail mounts have small nubs that interface with the notches in the rails to prevent sliding, so make sure to align those, then clip it on. With that done, we can now assemble the pumps. We'll start with these parts to assemble the inner roller carrier. Each roller gets a ball bearing in this groove, the carrier gets a ball bearing in this groove, and the carrier cover gets a bearing in this groove. The bearings can be a little tricky to insert because it's a tight press fit. I recommend first getting it started by hand, like that. Then use a strong, flat object to press it down against a table. Once you feel it go, check to confirm the bearing is flush. If you see the side of the bearing like this, that means it's not fully inserted. You need to push harder. Still a little more. Once it's flush like that, then we repeat for all of the other ones. Once that's done, we can assemble the roller carrier. Put all four rollers on all four posts of the carrier with the bearing at the top of each post. Then put on the carrier cover with the bearing on the outside. To hold the cover in place, use force hex clips at the top of each post. And that's the roller assembly done. Confirm that each roller spins smoothly without any wobble, as well as the carrier. If there's any resistance or wobbling, go back and make sure all the bearings are fully inserted. They should all be flush. We'll put the roller assembly aside for now and start assembling the pump case. We'll attach the motor to the top, which requires these pieces. The motor is held into place on the top case with this mount band. Clip it to the back of the motor with the arrow pointing towards the top of the motor. Then insert it into the top case with the hexagons aligned. Then on the inside, attach a couple of hex clips to secure the motor to the top case. Then attach the small gear onto the motor axle. Both the axle and gear have two flat sides, so align those with each other, then push the gear fully onto the axle. Now we'll attach the bottom case, which needs the snap bolt, pin, and one hex clip. Put the top case onto the bottom case like this, then put the pin through here with the flat side aligned. Then attach a hex clip to the pin to prevent it from coming out. Now the case can hinge open like that. On the bottom of the case, we will attach the rail mounts. Note that there are two different mounts labeled A and B. Pair them up with the matching labels on the bottom case. We will do the A side first, push the rail mount onto the hexagon until it's flush with the case, and then attach a hex clip to prevent that from coming off. And then we'll do the same with the other side. The last step of the pump assembly is to put the rollers and tubing inside the case, which have to be done at the same time and can be a little tricky. To do this, make a loop like this in the middle of the tubing with one hand. Then insert the rollers into the tubing like so. Pull it tight and adjust the tubing so that it's centered on each roller. Then insert the roller assembly into the bottom case, first getting the bearing aligned with the pin, then push down and pull the tubing into these slots here. Once done, close the case, and you can add two hex clips at these points to keep the case closed. And that is a completed pump. If you have multiple, go ahead and assemble them now, and then we can attach them onto the frame. Again, put it wherever you like. I will put mine left of the controller board. If you need to attach the pump to the back of the frame, you'll notice that the ends of the snap bolts prevent you from doing that. They get in the way. To work around this, you can just remove the snap bolts and clip the pump across the rail segments. The snap bolts only serve to keep the rails from sliding apart, but now the pump will do that. The small connector plugs into the control board. Any of the 4 motor ports can be used, but if you're only using one pump, the software defaults to the motor L port. This only inserts in one orientation with the red and black wires aligned with the plus and minus pins respectively. After that, we can also connect the soil moisture sensors. Connect one end of the quick cable to one of the quick connectors on the board. It doesn't matter which, just choose one of them. The other end of the quick cable must plug into one of the 2 connectors labeled quick on the controller board. Either can be used, but when only using one sensor, the software defaults to the quick 1 connector. The black and red wires align with the ground and 3v3 pins respectively. If you have multiple soil moisture sensors, they can be daisy-chained, but you have to change the I2C address of one of the sensors. This process is a little tricky, so it's documented in the online guide if you need to daisy-chain. If you have only 2 sensors, it's much easier just to put one of the sensors on quick 1 and the other on quick 0. All right, we're getting close. You'll notice that the frame is currently top-heavy and may not stand up on its own. That's because the frame relies on a water bottle for support. So you'll need to grab a water bottle and one of the straps included with the kit. You'll notice the rails have little slots in them. Take the end of the strap and feed it through that slot. And then take your bottle and tighten the strap around it. And now we can stand up the frame. You can add up to 4 total water bottles in these 4 positions, just like the first one. Once that's done, you can put the tubing from your pumps into your water bottles and the other end of the tubes into the plants that you want to water. Note that if your tubing is too short on one side, you can just pull it through the pump to adjust the length on each side. And now we have one end of the tube in the bottle and the other going to the plant. Then we'll take the soil moisture sensor and put it into the soil. Just be careful not to go past the max insertion depth, and also make sure that the tube is not dumping water over the soil sensor. The last step is to connect the power supply. So we will make sure the power switch is in the off position, then insert the power supply into the barrel jack on the controller board. We can repeat the same power test from before to confirm everything is still good. Flip the power switch to the on position, and you should see those 2 red LEDs illuminate again just as before, which means it's working. We'll turn that back off for now. And that is the assembly of the AgXRP Beta. Now you're ready to get started.